Just reconvened a couple days ago. We went for 30 minutes. It's all we're allowed. 30 minutes in the weight room, 30 minutes on the court. Yesterday we went for about 40 minutes in the weight room and about 50 minutes on the court. And today we'll be on the court for close to an hour and a half. And one day at a time. That's my new motto: one day at a time. And anytime we get to get on the court and practice and compete, try and have the best time we can and enjoy that moment because we've been deprived of that for the last month. So it's the place that we are in. And when I say we, I'm not about college basketball. It's the place that we are in right now as we're trying to make this work.
Dave?
Hey, Frank, thanks for doing this. Just how are you feeling? How are the guys feeling physically and mentally after being away for so long?
I mean, they're excited because they get on the court, but there's this what's the word I'm looking for? A sense of doubt. Like, can we finally play a game? You know, can we practice more than one day without getting shut down again? Because that's what's happened to us since December 7th. And, and that's as a coach, my job is to uplift and to get guys excited about the present day, regardless of what happened yesterday. But when it comes to this, I'm limited on what I can do because it's it has nothing to do with a bad practice, a bad game, a win, a loss, a bad attitude. It's got nothing to do with all that stuff. It's me having a bad practice plan. By the way, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we also, as coaches, we plan practice. Sometimes we make a bad practice plan. So practice is not going well. That means we messed it up because of the way we planned it. And that's all that stuff is stuff that I can control to make tomorrow better than today. When it comes to COVID, Dave, it's really hard to say anything to the players to offset what might happen because it's out of our control.
Michael?
Hey, Frank, thanks for doing this. As far as, the guys who did test positive, I know you can't go into a lot of specifics, but were guys mostly, mild symptoms, asymptomatic, and just, what was kind of the toll on the group of just not just missing basketball games, but also now you're dealing with this virus. And you've seen firsthand, what the virus can do and, how it can affect people.
Yeah, Michael, here's the most difficult thing to answer your question at the beginning. Some were symptomatic, some have been asymptomatic. But here's where it gets really hard to manage this. It's not like we test and all 15 guys are positive. One guy's positive. So now you get that guy put aside, everyone else quarantined. And then you come back 4 days later and test again, a second guy's positive. So now the guys have been around him. Now those guys are in quarantine for a new number of days. The 4 days before don't count. Now they're in quarantine because there's a new positive, so it's a new count. And then it never ends. It's so now the guys that are positive, now they go through 10-day isolation, the reacclimation, all the testing that they rightfully have to go through to make sure it's safe for them to play. Which, by the way, a credit to our doctors, our trainers here at this university, because all this cardiac testing that you're reading about because of COVID, our people would do anyways before we ever knew COVID existed. So we have a baseline to where to compare post-COVID test to previous COVID test to make sure that there's consistency there. And that's a credit to like I said, our team doctors and our trainers that they're overprotective even before COVID came into the equation. But that's the hard thing to manage, is that everybody is positive on the same day. Like, I'm not going to give you who and when and how and outcomes, because that's between them and their family if they ever want to speak on these things. But we went like shut down, came back, we had a positive. The next day had another positive. We had to re-shut down again. And it makes it really hard. That's the complicating thing to try to manage this, to be able to play games, is that because if you knew that you had 15 guys, all right, we're positive 15 today, all 15 got cleared medical, we're good to go, let's move forward. All right, we're good. But that's not the way it works, and it makes it really, really difficult.
John?
Frank, as unprecedented as this is, how grateful are you to have a group of guys that you consider mature, that are experienced, not just on the court, but a little bit more experienced in their lives and able to handle a situation like this middle season?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's still difficult to manage because I don't. I'm 54 years old, and I know I'm still immature in the way I do certain things, but I think I'm also at a place where I've seen enough in life, good, bad, ugly, things I control, don't control, where I'm better equipped to manage my emotions than a 21-year-old person, for the most part. Not everybody, but for the most part. And I'm struggling with this. So it's and I'm not struggling with playing. I'm struggling with how to manage it. I'm struggling with how to get excited about the opportunity to compete when the day before you got a game, they shut you down. And, and it's a different animal. It's just, it's a little different. And, I don't know, John. I try to answer your guys' questions when I know what the truth is. Obviously, there's things about individual players, whether it's COVID or non-COVID related, that I just not going to speak on sometimes because it's not fair to them. I'm a parent. I wouldn't want other people speaking about my child on certain things. But right now, I don't have an answer. I'm searching how to manage this to help the players, to keep them in a positive place, excited about playing when there's no guarantee that we will play. It's I got a feeling eventually we'll play, because we eventually will get late enough in the season where either everyone's positive or we got enough positives where they've been cleared where we can now go play with 8, 9 guys. But right now that's a challenge.
Rick?
Hey, Frank, good to see you again. Because there's been such a period of inactivity and you've been stop and go, where is the overall conditioning and just readiness to play? Is it like back in the preseason, at the beginning of the regular season, or where exactly?
Yeah, Rick, that's the unknown. I can't gauge it because we haven't, I can tell you this, yesterday, being on the court for whatever we were, 40, 45 minutes, and we just doing half court stuff because we're doing stuff in groups of 4 to make sure that if for some reason somebody tested positive, only 4 guys got shut down, not the whole team. And they were gasping for air after 40, 45 minutes. And that's the other part with this, Rick, is when you get shut down for as many days as we have, these kids are on quarantine, they're in isolation. They're not allowed to go to the gym and shoot balls and run sprints. They're not allowed to do any of that stuff. So you're asking someone that lives a banker's life, just sitting in a chair reading the computer, to all of a sudden engage in a high level athletic competition with minimal days. And that for me is a concern. It's when I think I said something yesterday, I don't even know who I was talking to, where winning and losing right now is not even part of my mindset. It's just the opportunity to be able to go on a court and compete. And that's where that's coming from, because we have not been able to do anything. So if we had to go play a game on Saturday, which is on the schedule, we're doing it since December 7th. That means we would have done it with 1, 3 practices since December 7th, 3. And I don't know how that's the right thing to do. I look at it as a coach and also as a parent. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but if I got 8 guys that they want to play, it's my duty to help them. And now we're going to play, but I got to manage the game as if we were in a scrimmage where we're just trying to get a day in to get them ready for a game. That means that then I can't play a guy 38, 39 minutes and drill him because we have to go win the game. I don't know. Maybe I'm overcomplicating things the way I'm thinking right now, but it's really confusing because I'm all about coaching to win, and I'm all about making young people do right, and I'm all about protecting young people. And right now, those 3 things don't connect with the environment that we're dealing with, and that's where my confusion comes from.
Ben?
Hey, Frank. You covered a little about what I was going to ask, so I guess I have a follow-up and then sort of another question. The follow-up is you mentioned that the guys can't go to the gym, can't kind of run around. Do you have to just tell them, stay in your apartment, do nothing, don't see people, or what can you tell them on that front? And also, how much, I guess, how are you able to communicate with them, phone, Zoom, whatever, and how hard does that make it to gauge where they are enthusiasm-wise, spirit-wise, considering you can't, see them, read body language, that kind of stuff?
Well, number one, for safety reasons, anytime any of us isolate or quarantine, because there's 2 different animals, we're told to stay home, stay away from people, stay away from your own family. That's what we're told. Well, that's what students on campus are being told. The university passed policy back in September. I don't ask me what date, but it was after the school year started, that if you're in isolation or quarantine and you're caught outside of your isolation or quarantine area as a student, you are suspended for a semester. So if my players that are in isolation or quarantine decide that they're going to go for a walk and they get caught on the street, they're suspended for a semester. So you're an average student. You go home, you finish from being on campus. You go home, you finish your work online, didn't hurt anybody. Our guys have to be locked up in 2-bedroom apartments, basically for whatever number of days it is. And that's why I sent everybody home for Christmas, because they dealt with that. We dealt with that lockdown the first time. I wasn't making them do it for 3 consecutive weeks over the Christmas holidays. So I said, everyone go home. But it's difficult, Ben. It's difficult. I was in isolation in a really nice house with a lot of room, with a backyard where I can go outside every day. And it was still a very frustrating thing to go through for 10 days. Can you imagine being in that same moment in a small 1-bedroom apartment when you're in isolation because you get put by yourself, or a 2-bedroom apartment if you got a roommate? That's a hard place to be in, man. Hard place.
Dick Cox?
Hi, Coach. About a week or so ago, we saw where the Duke women just decided to shut it down for the rest of the year. Do you think we'll see more and more of that in the near future?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously I heard about that. I didn't read reasons why they chose to do that. I think every one of us is unique to our own teams, unique to the environment. I know there's a lot of teams whose players all tested positive in the summer. So that's why they've played 11, 12 games and they're not impacted. Then there's teams like us who had no positives until the season started. Now we're dealing with it right in the middle of the season. So, Dick, I don't know if you're a parent. I'm a parent. I've got a son that plays Division I basketball. I've got a son that plays high school basketball. I've got a daughter who plays high school volleyball. It's hard, man. It's hard as a parent do I take my daughter to the club volleyball practice and now am I exposing her because you're around people that you don't know their environment, you don't know how they're taking this whole scenario. And yeah, I don't have that answer, Dick. I think we're getting to the finish line, and I think there'll be enough teams to have an NCAA tournament. As far as every individual team and those respective decisions, I think they're unique to every campus and the situation that we're dealing with. And you know, it's not a team decision. It's individuals. Because if I've got 5 kids whose parents say, you know what, I'm not, if we got to quarantine again, and I got 5 parents that say, you know what, man, I can't have my child dealing with this anymore, I'm just shutting them down for the year, then what am I going to do? Go play the rest of the year with 7, 8 guys? That's not fair for anybody. So, but we're not there. But that's just a scenario I'm throwing out there. It's kind of an individual. It's a bunch of individual decisions that will determine what a campus decision would have to be.
Phil?
Yeah. Hey, Frank, yesterday, Brad Brownell said it did not look like from where he was that you guys will be able to reschedule your game. Where are you with these canceled or postponed games? Any interest on your end to try to reschedule any of them, or you just move forward with what's left?
Hey, Phil, Brad and I are friends. I don't know if you're aware of that. We actually speak. He raves about you, Phil. He says that he just absolutely, that you and him have just developed an unbelievable relationship over the last couple of years. It's
most people do like me.
I don't disagree with that statement, Phil. I mean, it's but on a serious note, Phil, and by the way, Brad and I are friends, and we do speak about a bunch of stuff. Phil, I'm trying to play the game that's already scheduled, and we can't get on the court. Now here we start league play. We're supposed to start it tomorrow. Obviously, that's not happening. And we got league play starting now on, what is it, Emily, June 6th? That's the plan. And once that June 6th hits, it's 2 games a week every week. And now there's an open window at the end of the season that we are saving to replace league games. So right now, before I can worry about, I don't even know what games, Clemson, Wofford, who's the other game we got canceled? South Carolina State. Instead of replacing those games, I have to figure out a way to get the Kentucky game in, which that's what that week's there for. I don't believe that we've set a date yet to where to stick that Kentucky game at the end of the season. But that's priority. The top. I don't even. My English is so bad right now. That's what happens when you sit on a couch and eat food for 3 straight days. The top, when I put down the list and prioritize stuff, rescheduling the Kentucky game is number 1. Once that one gets done, then we can try and figure out for common windows. But they're in the same boat now. Clemson's in conference play. They're not going to schedule us 2 days before they play Virginia. I mean, they're not going to do that. It's to make it 3 games in a week. That's not what we're going to do unless there's a common window that opens up as the season goes on.
Dave?
Franco, you mentioned that, if certain things happen, maybe parents start pulling their kids off the team. But outside of that, as far as you know right now, will the entire roster eventually be able to get back, or are there some guys that, might have conditions that they won't be able to play this year, or just regular injuries over these past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, those are things that I'm not going to speak about. They're not my children. They're someone else's child. When it pertains to those individual health situations, as those are encountered, those are answers that obviously I'll make a blanket statement on anything that comes across our plate from that standpoint. because I'm not going to get into details about individuals and where they're at health wise or whatever it may be. But those are more statements that if and when they need to be made, be more made by that young man and their family than me. I'm not one of those guys that tries to hide injuries and, tries to, I don't do that. But at the same time, I'm not into being specific about people's individual health situation, unless they want to be. If they want to be, I'll fully support what they say. But I don't know, man. We're trying to understand this one every single day. I don't have answers right now. That's the most frustrating thing as a coach is I don't have answers.
Michael?
Talking about not having answers and just how difficult it has been to manage all this. I mean, what kind of resources do you have as far as, is there anything from the SEC as far as connecting other coaches in the league, as far as dealing with this? Obviously, other SEC teams have dealt with COVID outbreaks as well. Anything informally? Are there other coaches you're able to talk to or lean on, or things that you've been able to pick up? I mean, what kind of resources are out there, if any, to help through this process?
Well, internally, we've got a leader in Ray Tanner that has lived the life that we live as coaches. So he understands that, not as a fundraiser, not as an administrator. He understands the journey as a coach. So he fully comprehends the emotions that go into day in, day out to the situation that we're in right now, trying to figure that out. So having him as a sounding board, as a person that understands, so he can then share advice, is phenomenal. The league office has been great. Greg Sankey's he gets it. Dan Leibowitz used to be one of us. I call him a suit now just to make him upset, but he cut his teeth as John Chaney's right-hand man and then became a head coach himself. And so he gets it. He's a coach that hides in a suit, but it's at the end of the day, it hits all of us different. It hits, because whatever the guys that managed it on their campuses, when they got hit by it in August, September, it's different, than getting hit by it right now. And that's, we're all trying. We speak to peers. The NABC has been a tremendous resource. That here's what you realize, Michael, is that we're not the only program that's being hit by this. It's a problem for everyone. The smartest guys in our business, and I don't say that sarcastically, I say it wholeheartedly. Like Jay Wright is one of the great people in our business, from an intelligence, from a coaching, from a success, all of the above, doing right by players. He just got it. They're shut down. And it's difficult, man. It's heck, our own government don't know what's right. Like, so am I going to figure out how to handle COVID? I got no idea, man. I'm trying to put 2 days in a row together. That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Couple more, John, and then Ben.
Frank, I don't think we've discussed this since he became eligible, but Ford Cooper can now play this year. Just what does he bring to the table? How has he practiced since he's gotten here? And how important is it to have an extra body given the situation you guys are in now?
Yeah, he's got some talent, and he's got some talent. He's being shut down for a month has been difficult because he doesn't get the biggest difference is you have to adapt to how the new school you're at plays, because we all speak, even though we all teach similar stuff, we all speak a different language. So as a player, you go from whatever your high school coach, whatever language he spoke, to whatever language your first school spoke, to whatever language we speak, which is 3 different languages in 3 different years. So it's understanding what language we speak when referencing basketball. I know you guys think I speak a fourth language, but no, English, Spanish, basketball, and my fourth language is private. You guys get privy to that every once in a while. But the basketball terminology is new to him, and not being able to be around it for the last month, that it regresses his ability to progress. But he's in a place right now where, if we had a game today, he'd be one of 9 if I'm counting the right way. Yeah, so that means he's got a real good chance of getting in the game. So whether he understands my language or not, he's going to learn my fourth language. But whether he understands the basketball language or not, he's going to have to get in the game. And so he's going to be all right. I like Ford. Great young man. Like I said, has some talent, has a feel for basketball. I feel deprived, as I do with Wildens Levesque. I thought Wildens had made tremendous strides. When we played at Houston, I thought that's the best game that he's ever played, because he wasn't a 10-minute a game guy. He was a full-time guy against a really good basketball team on the road, and he took on that responsibility. And I thought that was awesome for somebody that young to take that step in that kind of a game, and boom, shut down. So now I haven't been able to be around them for a month. And, I don't know, man. John, I like Ford a lot. I think he's a heck of a kid that's got some ability as a basketball player.
The last question to Ben.
Hey, Coach. I read about the passing of Scotty Ward. Is he a person that you kind of got to know at all through this position? Former Gamecock great, I guess.
No, I mean, I've obviously been here long enough where I know who some of these great players are. I've been privy to meet a bunch of them, but I was never able to spend time with him. But obviously, I know exactly who he is and all the greatness that he did here. And he's one of the guys that, when you speak to former players, there's some names that come up a lot, like different former players. You speak with players from the 90s, the 2000s, the 80s, and there's certain names that come up a lot. His was one of the names that was always mentioned amongst the former players. So sad. 2020, man, the people we've lost for COVID or not COVID, just we've lost so many people. It's a sad state. And it doesn't mean 21 is going to be any different, but we got to hope. That's one thing that I don't mean to preach, but it's the one thing that we have to keep our faith in is hope. Hope that this is going to get better. Hope that we can all get back to living normally. So we will be better because of the experience that we've just had for the last 9-10 months. So, but he's one of the names that a lot of the former guys always bring up. So it's that tells me that he was a respected person and player while he was here.